Hey, what's up? It's Brian Scalabrine, the White Mamba, also 2008 World Champion Boston Celtics. Now, you're listening to the Boston Big Three podcast presented by Ride the Wave Media.
Episode 75, Boston Big Three, presented by Ride the Wave Media, sponsored by BostonBig3.com, where you can check out our latest merchandise. I know we have some Celtics stuff up from the Raptors series that was selling well, the GRD merch line, some Patriots gear. It goes from like t-shirts, hoodies, phone cases. I saw we were selling coffee mugs. Really anything you want. Pick a design on our website. We can make it work for you. And BostonsBig3.com. Boston Celtics are 3-1. They're down 3-1. And next episode that we record will be Thursday. And we'll be in the NBA championship. I'm not nervous. As GRD said, I got a GRD hoodie. I'm not worried. So if you think that I'm going to start freaking out because we're down 3-1, we have them right where we want them. Coming down from a 3-1 series is cool now.
Yeah, because every single team wants to go down 3-1 to win. Yeah.
Nuggets did it. Nuggets did it twice this postseason, and the bubble's weird. And then the Thunder lost it to the Warriors. The Cavs lost it to the Warriors lost it to the Cavs. I don't know. I'm trying to still stay optimistic about this. Every game is go home or stay in the bubble. It's win or go home. And just because they're down 3-1, I'm not giving up on this team yet, like old Babs is, because Babs isn't even a Celtics man. He goes to the Garden. He goes with GRD. He's going off all this stuff just to use content. He doesn't care about the Celtics, and if he does, he's gonna only read the tweets he sees and stuff. And I'm about to get called a green team, or I'm going to get made fun of. I know what's coming. Down 3-1. We're recording by next Thursday. Game 7 is Tuesday, and we're going to be tipping off against the Lakers still. Like you heard it here. We're coming back from 3-1, and I'm not worried about it in a single bit. But if we want to talk about the game, it wasn't great last night.
I mean, you're just scrapping and clawing for any sense of hope. It's over. It's completely over. Listen, yes, they won Game 3. But last night, or whenever you end up hearing this, the last game they played, those 3 days off, they could have benefited both teams. I want to know what your excuses are. What went wrong with that team? Because everyone started making excuses. Like in our group chat, oh, we got out-rebounded. And then Jay Lazard's like, no, we had more rebounds. It came down to turnovers. And I blame one person as the casual Celtics fan, and that's Marcus Smart. The same guy who got the game tied up in regulation in Game 1. The same guy that called out his entire team after losing Game 2 and blowing that game was the same guy in Game 4 who made the shittiest, stupidest decision of passing it to Gordon Hayward when he's looking up at the rim. Go for it. With 1 minute to go, 2 minutes to go. And also Jason Tatum. Some costly turnovers. I believe that Jason Tatum was talking to Paul Pierce before this game. Because the way, Paul Pierce did the classic, I shove you over, I step back and put it in. That's the classic Paul Pierce move, and he was trying to do that. He did it in the first quarter. When I saw that in the first quarter, I was like, clear shove. And he tried pulling it off at the end of the game as well, too. You're not going to get those calls. And he also had to travel. He had to travel as well, too. So those stupid decisions by the Boston Celtics is costing them the series. And you're down 3-1. Yes, teams can come back. I believe it.
Never say die.
But the NBA competed against the NFL on Sunday. This game to be 7:30 Sunday. I would love the Patriots and Celtics to play on the same day, but it's wrapped up on Friday. The Heat are going to win. LeBron's going to win tonight. They're going to win 5 games. Heat wins 5 games. They're going on to the NBA championship.
I don't know. Like, they turned the ball over 1 billion times. That's just not how you're going to win basketball games. And they don't know how to play against the zone. I'm not saying that the Celtics are a perfect team. I'm not saying that we're going to – I am saying I think we're going to win. But, I have reasoning behind it. It's literally win or go home every single game now. And if you think they're going to roll over and die, at least not going on the fight, that's all I ask. I don't want them to get blown out in games.
I said this to GRD. We talk about it. There's only 6 guys on this Boston Celtics team. No one else really matters after that. You can have your Time Lord of Robert Williams, or you can have a guy like Cantor and even Tice. Those guys are not going to do it. Those guys are not helping you winning a championship. That's my opinion. They're not. But when you look at the Heat team and you got guys like Iguodala coming off the bench or Jay Crowder, just role players, I'd rather have those guys on the Boston Celtics with the six, with the six main guys on your team. I want those. They should add more depth. That's the problem. I think that's what we're seeing. Also, Tyler Hero being the hero last night. I mean, he did what he had the same thing like game 1 or 2. He went off, but he completely went off last night. And Jason Tatum, 0 points in the first quarter. He did redeem himself. We were talking about this. Shout out to Dito. He came over, watched the game last night with me, the babies, and Michelle. And it's the same thing. People will not care about your stat line if you get like 7 points. As long as you win the game, that's what matters. If you hit those game clutch shots at the end. But Jason Tatum was so clutch that second half, but you turned it over. 2 costly turnovers at the end.
But even though you snap in the second half, like, that doesn't mean anything because that ruins the flow of the game for literally everybody else. Like, he had 0 points. Jalen was cooking. Kemba was cooking. Now Tatum's good in the second half. Jalen and Kemba aren't going to get the ball as much because Tatum hits one shot. He's going to shoot it again. That gets their rhythm out of place. Like, they have so many people, and this is the problem we always run into, that can score the ball, and then at the same time, they all decide, nah, like, I'm done.
I mean, it's your
scoring
typical
today.
green teamers, too, that are like, oh, Gordon Hayward's baby's born. He's dropping 50 tonight. Gordon Hayward's going to go on fire tonight. Oh, the Celtics team ain't going to lose. It just – and last night, there's no excuses last night. Like, there is no excuses, just sloppy basketball by the Boston Celtics. No Tony Bros didn't matter. None of those calls mattered. There was no bad calls. There could be some iffy calls. If any of the bad calls, Jimmy Butler stripped the ball twice and got fouled twice. Clean strips. So there's no excuses when it comes to fouls like that. Those were clean.
I mean, I think for me, looking at this game as a casual Celtics fan, it comes down to passion. Look at Jimmy Butler. Look at Tyler Hero. And when I see these guys just grinding it out for the final 2 minutes of this game, I think Harrell dropped, 37, something like that, like a crazy high number. And you look at it that way, Marcus Smart, yes, didn't have the best game. I will not tolerate any Marcus Smart slander on this podcast, though. We are a pro-Marcus Smart podcast. Yeah, he had a bad game. I understand that. Did not help the team in any fashion whatsoever last night. And Jason Tatum, blowing it in the first quarter does not excuse anything. At the end of the day, we can't close out games. It's been our biggest problem for the past 2 years. And I always chalked it up to inexperience, but my friends actually pointed out last night, it's not inexperience anymore. Jaylen Brown's been in the Eastern Conference Finals 3 times. Tatum's been there 2 times. Like, there's no more excuses running down the line. It's starting to be, can this team close in general? And I'm starting to wonder if they actually can do that.
I'm not trying to throw slander on Marcus Smart's name. I'm just thinking it's more irony. The guy that helped you tie up game 1, the guy that was trying to find that spark post game 2. He's the leader. He's the veteran leader, but he was the guy that cost him the game last night.
Okay, but this was really his only first bad game in the bubble, really. Like, horrendous game.
Yeah, and I'm not going to say like he completely cost it, but it's like,
but
if that's going to be the team leader, you can't do that.
I mean,
at the same time, his worst game came at the worst possible time. You go down 3-1 now. And Tyler, I really hope you're right. But like we said, me and Babs last week, you're wrong, dude. Like, we're out of this thing. We're out of this series. And I really hope I'm wrong because I really want to see this team in the finals against a LeBron or against that Denver Nuggets team. But at the end of the day, I don't see it happening.
The NBA is fixed. LeBron James does not want to go up against the Boston Celtics in the NBA. I think the Celtics would give them a run for their money. I think that it's a whole new series. It's the NBA Finals. I think that team could come together. I think we're going to see some shady stuff happen on Friday. That's when you're going to make your excuses. You can make all your excuses game 5 because I think that's when the NBA is going to fix it and make sure the Heat wins. LeBron gets it. LeBron, what does he get out of it? He gets a Heat team that he knows he could probably end up beating. He wants Spoelstra in the finals. He's looking out for his buddy Spoelstra. Another NBA Finals appearance for Spoelstra. We talk about this already. Brad Stevens, Spoelstra. Is Spoelstra a good coach? Let him get another finals appearance. That'd be his 5th one.
I got a question. What are your thoughts on Mark Wahlberg commenting on Jimmy Butler's post with a bunch of heart emojis and everything after the game?
So I posted about that, and people are saying, oh, well, he's best friends with Jimmy Butler. And I'm like, that guy's best friends with everybody in the NBA. He's Mark Wahlberg. He can just go up to anybody and say, hey, I'm Mark Wahlberg. And they'll be like, oh, that's cool. I watch your movies. Like, that means nothing. Mark Wahlberg. And that post was not even about Jimmy Butler. It was about Tyler Hero. It was about him. So it had nothing to do with Butler. It's just Mark Wahlberg. Even Mark Wahlberg knows the writing's on the wall. He already has his Laker jersey ready to go because the Boston Celtics ain't going to be in the NBA Finals. I will only root for the Celtics if Mark Wahlberg comes out and wears a Celtics jersey during the NBA Finals, like posts about it or something, because then I would really want to call him out. That's the only reason why I would root for the Celtics.
I don't know.
They lack a big man. They lack a true big man. I've been saying it for fucking so many years. I wanted Dwight Howard and this is not Dwight Howard today. I wanted Dwight Howard years ago. I wanted Andre Drummond. They haven't had a true big man. I don't care about a big man that is going to score a lot of points. I just want rebounds, extra offensive rebounds, extra defensive rebounds. They played this whole small ball era and everything. I hate it. Daniel
Taco Fall has entered the chat.
Cantor's not your guy. Tice is not your guy. Taco Fall. Why isn't Taco Fall playing? Why aren't you throwing him out there a couple times during the game? Like maybe he's not truly ready.
No shot.
But still, like it's situational plays. I mean,
But Tyler. In Bab's defense, though, he does have him on his forearm, so he has to kind of got to go bat for the guy. Like he can't just like not mention him.
We're missing 3 things. One is a veteran leadership. Is like we're
Marcus
all
Smart.
Like you can say that it's inexperience and all that. Like Jalen's been there.
There is no inexperience. You just flip flop because you just said they're all experienced. They all been to the Eastern Conference.
I said that.
I'm saying, you can go there, but it doesn't mean anything if you go there without any vets. They never went there.
No, but it means experience, though. You don't become a veteran unless you go through these, progressions through these Eastern Conference finals.
Okay, but
Jaylen Brown's a veteran now.
Veteran though?
Yeah, he is. As soon as you're not a rookie, you're a veteran. That's how it works. That's a progression. That's how it works.
What?
If you're
how it works.
No. If you're in your senior year of college, you're a veteran of that college. You're not the rookie, a freshman. That's 4 years.
If this is your second year in the NBA, you're a two-year vet. He's seen it all.
Oh, you're a sophomore. You're a sophomore.
Yeah, but this is Jalen's 4th year. He made it 3 times. The first time.
That's called experience.
Okay, but let's walk through it. If we want to just look at the history, let's dig a little deeper. He had that IT team.
Wait a minute. He signed an extension and they signed him. That means he's a veteran. Like he's not on a rookie deal anymore.
It's literally in the name.
I'm saying Jalen, yes. Tatum, he's been there 2 out of 3 years. They have experience there. I didn't say that. I said they need a veteran leadership. You know why Andre Iguodala is on the Heat right now, or Udonis Haslem's on the Heat? It's not because they're going to give you good minutes. Like Iguodala was the first time he got good minutes last time. Udonis Haslem's never going to suit up on an NBA court again. So Kirk was doing this even when he was leaving his career. Jawan Johnson was doing this. Every single old player that's been through the league that can keep a team together. This is why Marcus Smart is our veteran. But
so when are you going to point the finger at Danny Ainge or Brad Stevens or whoever at the trade deadlines for sitting on their hands every single year?
No,
that needs to be said. It needs to be put out there.
Brad Stevens doesn't make the trades. It's all Danny Ainge.
No, I know.
And then
that's why when they lost that game in game 2, I said it's Danny Ainge's fault, and they're like, oh, it's Brad Stevens' fault.
Well, hold on a second. Danny Ainge is a top 3 GM in the NBA. His only fault, his only downside is he doesn't really pull the trigger at the deadline. We always hear these big deals cooking. Like a couple years ago, Paul George. Remember the Paul George trade was supposed to happen with Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, and a couple picks and everything. I've heard those deals forever. The past 5-6 years, been all this deadline hype, and then leaving way to nothing. That's his only fault as GM, though. He puts together unbelievable rosters year after year. He goes and get Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett, right, in 2008. Then he comes out and gets Kyrie Irving after a ridiculous Brooklyn Nets trade. He drafts Jason Tatum after trading down for Markelle Fultz's spot. He gets Jaylen Brown. He signs Marcus Smart to an extension. He's a good GM. I don't want to hear slander on Danny Ainge's part.
A good GM, but it's been 12 years since you won an NBA championship. Fucking pull the trigger already.
Like, does he play the game? Does he play the game? He puts the players on the court, and Brad Stevens has to coach them up. That's how it works.
Well, look at the players on the court that they have.
This is what happens, when we hold every single draft pick. We have no vets coming in. We're missing 3 things. One's a vet. One is a vet that's been there. Like the Celtics have been there, but they haven't won. We need someone who's been there, won, like Udonis had, like anything. And then 2.
Let's sign James Jones.
James Jones has as many NBA rings as LeBron. People forget that. Number 2. A bench score, because you can't. I mean, Hayward technically right now, Smart technically when everyone's healthy, but you need a 7th, you need an 8th guy, and then a big guy, like you said. Like I want, and like the people on the Ride the Wave chat drive me crazy whenever we talk about Celtics, so I just don't check it. So it's like I want Jared Allen. I got told them no, it's not that. Everyone thinks they're right. Everybody thinks they're right, and
So do you, Tyler. Like.
No, I don't. I know I'm wrong 99% of the time. I think my Twitter bios I'm wrong almost all the time. But what was I even talking about? Oh, that stupid chat. I hate that Instagram chat with all of my heart. But you need these guys to help you pave the way. Should we have beat the Heat? Yes. Are we going to beat the Heat? Still yes. I still legitimately think that we're going to win this series. I saw GRD's tweet yesterday. I need GRD on this program. He's probably Actually, if I know Corey, like I think, he probably doesn't. He probably thinks we're over, but he's still posting about it. I think I'm the only one here who thinks that we still have a legit shot to win. So when we're playing in the finals and you buy my merchandise, hopefully by the time I'm going to have a smart shirt that's not even going to get up in time. But, yeah, Celtics, I think we're good. Like, danger zone, big time, 100% danger zone. But when I go home and if this team rolls over and die, that's when I'm going to be mad. But if they just need to show, give me a Game 6 win. Because if Game 6 wins, give me a Game 5 win. Because you go to Game 6, oh, that's a shirt. We're going to have some Kevin Millar type stuff coming out. Kevin Millar BB3.
Wait, hold on a second. Tyler,
Just
did
watch.
you just
My
roast
brain's
Babs?
moving a million miles per minute.
Tyler, did you just roast Babs for profiting off the Celtics even though he doesn't like them? And now you're just worrying about merchandise and just going to Game 6, not even winning Game 7?
Yeah, I'm saying if we win Game 6, don't let us win Game 6. That means Game 7's coming. And anything can happen Game 7.
All I heard was
Babs,
merchandise
on the other
talk.
hand, wants
That's
his team-
all I heard.
Babs wants the Celtics out of here since last week, which makes no sense. But I think
it's football season, it's not basketball season, dude. Different story. If this team, it makes me wonder if this team was playing back in April, in May, in June, I think they'd probably go to the finals. I think they would have.
Really bad.
Same thing with the
Back
Bruins,
then.
though, too. Same thing with the Bruins.
Same thing with the Bruins. So you know what Tyler's gonna do, Joe? Next week he's gonna be like, well, you know what? The Celtics lost, but that bubble didn't count. It felt so weird.
No,
GRD's making the same excuses. I hear it already. He's like, you know what, Babs? I've been watching these games, and you know what? I'm just not into it. I just don't feel it. I don't know. Oh, this is the same GRD says. We're in the fucking playoffs right now. We're going
I'm not one of those people
finals.
that's like, oh, asterisk next to the ring, asterisk next to the ring, unless the Lakers win.
No, you will 100% do it when the Celtics get eliminated. You will 100%.
I would count it if the Celtics won a ring.
Because you're just going to say some of these players shouldn't have been there.
Telling
They
you
had
right
added
now,
rest.
This is not the case. I'm telling you, the entire time I've been watching the NBA, which is kind
I
of
mean,
weird.
I told you last
5:30.
week the Celtics are done, and you were like, oh, they're not done. They're not done. We're telling you again, they're still done.
We could have been done. We could have been swept. So technically, I was right. Because, yeah, you want to prove how I'm right now? Because I said by the time we record, it'll be 2-2. I was kind of wrong, but we're still not eliminated. I will say.
You just said you were right because you were wrong? Like, that's just
No, I
what
said
happened
I was
just now.
half wrong. I don't know. I've been up since 5 a.m. working. My brain's going a million miles per minute.
No, I will say, Tyler, your green teamer energy is infectious. Like, I love the fact you're still in it for the team back home.
You guys stink. You guys are literally like the.
I just complimented you. Why are you going my
but
ass now? What are you talking about?
Because every time I talk about the Celtics on the show, I get Joe, I get Babs, who don't watch as much as me, going wah 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 wah. Whenever I try to have any type of hope of watching the Celtics game,
That's because you don't have your tag team. You don't have your tag team partner, Brendan Watabe here. We always try to work around it to get him on.
Wait, no, Tyler. We're not anti-Celtics. Or at least I'm not anti-Celtics. Babs might be anti-Celtics. I am pro-Celtics. We're just being realistic.
I'm anti-Tyler Miller.
Too. I think we still win. We have so much talent on this team to lose in 5 games. If you think we're losing in 5, you're crazy. I still think this goes 7. Whether or not we win in 7, I think it's going to go 7.
I hope you're right.
Back-to-back,
I hope you're right.
Game at a time, back against the wall. You just need to play 48 minutes, better basketball than the other team, 3 different times. You guys take it a game at a time.
All right. Enough about the Celtics, dude. The basketball season's done. It's over.
Almost.
The Celtics are done.
Not
It's football season. There's more exciting things like the New England Patriots. The New England Patriots. How about that? The New England Patriots take a loss this past week. And it's the first time they take
loss I've ever seen in my life.
Celtics take a loss, it's over. Everyone knows it's done. The Patriots take a loss, like this team might go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that was a weird like asterisk around there. Like David Portnoy was going over. I'm like, oh, the Patriots are going to the Super Bowl now. It's like, all right, let's pump the brakes a little bit. It was a loss still.
I didn't really see anybody mad online about the loss.
I was mad. I was mad. We ran the Cam Newton play at the goal line at the end of the game. I was pissed about that because
I wasn't mad because the Seahawks.
You should be. You 11 players in the field. You throw out 9 linemen plus Jakob Johnson. What the hell do you think's going to happen? Like they knew what was going on.
I think everybody knew no matter what.
Hold on a second. Why not run an RPO though? Why not run an RPO? You have the option to hand it out to Sony Michel. You can either pass it to Edelman or Cam Newton can run it himself. If you have 9 linemen in the game, they're going to engage you. They're just going to run everyone at you, and that's what happened. And we lost the game because of it.
I wasn't mad though because Cam was like good. Like Cam is good. Can we all agree that Cam Newton is good?
No, Cam Newton's a good quarterback.
For now. It's
for now.
2.
But anyways, he's getting all the touchdowns on offense. He's literally bigger than everybody. Yes, everybody knew as soon as we got to the 1, Cam Newton's running the ball. What I would like, because I think Jacob Johnson, this guy, RTW day 1, the jump pass, they could have ran that, and that would have went perfect too. I like Cam running the ball at the end because if we throw it, it doesn't work, then we We literally make fun of the Seahawks to this day for not running it on the 1
I
yard.
will point out one.
As good as runner as Cam Newton. No, but he's probably the closest one on the field that's going to be.
I will point out though, it was ironic. At the end of the game in that fourth quarter, the Seahawks had a third and short situation, like 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4. They threw it 40 yards downfield and didn't convert on it. If the Patriots won the game, that would have been the most memed play of the year, of the season. That would have been unreal to just troll every Seahawks fan about. Next after Matthews, if Chris Matthews was on and the Patriots had won, I would be roasting the shit out of him for playing for Pete Carroll.
I look at that game as we officially have moved on from Tom Brady, and this team does have something there. Now, Cam Newton didn't touch the ball until 5 minutes in the first quarter. So in time of possession was pretty key into that game. But the fact is this, and I said that in the chat, they went down 11. I was like, this is the time it proves for Cam Newton. You have to drive this team down the field. Bing, bang, boom, couple throws. Some of his throws look way better than the throws we've seen from Tom Brady over the last couple of years. There's no slander to Tom Brady at all. Tom Brady's fucking 43 years old nowadays. Like, he's always doing the dump passes and other things. Cam Newton in the pocket getting pressured, bends down, avoids it. He runs. What does Brady do? He just tucks because he wants to save himself for longevity. Cam Newton's not afraid to extend plays.
I agree with you there, but there's a downside to that as well. Cam Newton's injury prone. Let's not pretend he's not.
I know. I 100% hear that. Tom Brady would have not led that comeback in that game if he was playing. Jarrett Stidham would have lost like 35-3, 100%. But on the one, Tom Brady would have won the game. Tom Brady at 43 years old would have won that game for you because you knew he would have did something to change it up. I will say this in the defense. 2 things. Number one, it's the Seattle Seahawks in week 2. Don't pull out your best plays just yet. As long as you beat Kansas City. Now, I feel so much more confident going to Kansas City. They could beat that team.
Especially considering injuries, too. Frank Clark is injured right now. They're starting 2 middle linebackers are out right now. Their defense is banged up.
So take your loss in the NFC. That doesn't count against the AFC. There's one bye. That's it. And when you have the Chiefs and Ravens playing Monday Night Football, which we'll get into in a moment, that's the Patriots' advantage in 2 weeks. You got to beat the Raiders who are 2-0. But you can beat Kansas City and you can beat Baltimore. You need to own the tiebreaker over them. Don't give them extra film so that in case you're in a similar situation later on. Number 2, Cam Newton accepted the L, and he accepted it on himself and put it on his shoulders. And that's what I liked about it because I said that right on my Instagram Live. I went on afterwards. I had no idea what the press conferences were going to be. He accepted defeat, and he's ready to move on from it and learn from it.
And that's big, too, because Cam Newton, not even leadership, personal responsibility. We saw after Super Bowl, 40, whatever it was, against Peyton Manning and the Broncos there. He sulked in his press conference. He didn't answer any questions. He left early. That does not show me leadership. What you just said shows me exemplary leadership. When he goes and takes responsibility in front of the media and says, hey, this is on me. We're coming back next week. I love that about Cam Newton.
Newton needed that early right now with his Patriots career because that was the whole point of Jarrett Stidham starting week 1. Jarrett Stidham was going to start week 1 if he didn't get hurt. And it was going to be a way to motivate Cam because the media would have been all over Cam Newton. Hey, how's it feel you're not starting? How's it feel that you're still on the bench? And you want to see how he reacted. He got that from that Seattle game, but he proved his worth. And I actually think that he's not staying. They need to extend him if they want to keep him.
Okay, hold on a second. This is the biggest problem I've heard.
They're not. Is it too early to talk about extending Cam?
Yes, I got to complain about this.
I think it is. I think it is too early.
My question is, what week, if he keeps this up, what week do you really consider giving Cam the bag? Not the bag.
Week 14.
Yeah, he's got to survive the entire season.
14. You have to survive the whole season.
What is the record looking like then?
It depends.
4 games, they're 10-4. Week 14, you still extend them?
I mean, they're in the playoffs. There's 7 teams that make that. That's a playoff team, most likely.
I mean, I guess it depends on the division losses and stuff like that, like the playoff picture, like spanning out and stuff. We can't really predict that. But what I will say is, guys like Jermaine Wiggins, who's on WEEI, they're just going on and on about how they need to extend Cam Newton right now because the price will go up. Yeah, you're right. But why the hell would you extend him week 2? It's 2 games. What? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. This guy played in the NFL for 8 years, 10 years? He knows the business, knows the market. You're telling me you want to extend an injury-prone quarterback after 2 games of decent success when he's 1-1 against the Miami Dolphins?
I mean,
are you kidding me?
This is just WEI at it again.
Yeah. Well, the troubling thing is, wow, Cam Newton plays this week 2. Then you start thinking ahead. You're like, dude, what if he does this the entire season? You're not keeping Cam Newton if he does this the entire season. But if Cam Newton gets banged up, there's no – I don't know. There's no way there's – I think Cam's a one-year guy in the New England Patriots.
Well,
because
so the reason I question that is because we've talked about the extension, right? We've heard 3 years, $90 million around that, $30 million guaranteed for each season, right? We've heard that. And I look at that and say, that's actually not a bad contract at face value. And we talk about that beforehand, right? Belichick wanted to offer Cam Newton a multi-year extension, and Cam said no before we signed the first time, right? He said, no, I don't want that. I want a one-year prove-it deal to prove my worth, to get my market up. And that makes sense for Bill Belichick and Cam Newton. But if the interest is there before he even signs his first contract to extend him multiple years, it's going to exist at the end of the season if he's actually producing. So would I be surprised if Cam Newton's our quarterback 3 years down the line? No, I would not be surprised.
But
what I'm worried about is the injury
teams?
guarantees on it and the salary guarantees on it. Because if Cam Newton gets banged up at the end of this year and is injury prone for the rest of his tenure, we should not be paying him $30 million a year.
But he's
That's what
driving
I'm
his
worried
price up. Dude, that guy could get signed by another team. Another team will swoop in. And I don't see them putting a franchise tag or doing anything with Cam Newton like that. I just think another team's going to come in and offer him a bigger deal. He's going to get the max payout.
If he won't get max, but if he gets over $100 million, the Patriots will be out. If he gets over $100 million for 3+ years, he'll be out. And that's fine. And I think Belichick knows that.
I think a team will do that.
And that's fine. You know what? You know what, dude? Free agency every year gives birth to terrible contracts, and this will be one of them. Cam Newton, at the stage of his career he's at 31 years old, is not worth over $100 million. If you nab him below that, that's a great market value, and it's a good business play at its face value. If you go over $100 million for a free agent signing for someone you've never played with before, that's a bad call. I really hope the New York Jets sign him with that contract.
Joe, before we move on,
he's injury prone, real quick though. Like,
yeah,
a lot of people are like, "Oh, Cam's injury. Why he missed 1 year? Does that make Saquon? Does that make
dude?
McCaffrey?
He was injured 3 years in a row. What are you talking about?
Like Gordon Hayward, he's injury prone. Guy gets hurt every year too.
Okay, but Cam's still good. It's not like these guys are injury. Like when I hear the word injury prone, I hear that, and then I think of like their careers are never the same.
All right, Tyler, we'll put it this way. How about Grant Hill?
Grant Hill? Yeah.
Grant Hill.
I mean, he's still a Hall of Famer. I'll take it.
First of all, it's a basketball Hall of Famer, which is the lowest, amount of work to actually get in there.
Are you in the Basketball Hall of Fame? No. There's only X amount of people in the Basketball Hall of Fame.
I hate when people say that. Like, I can still criticize someone for not being good in longevity because he's injury prone. I can still say that. Like,
I know, but I'm saying I'd still even take him if he's quote unquote injury prone. Like,
that's just a waste of money, and it's not going to propel you an NBA championship. Did the Pistons win with Grant Hill? No. Did the Magic win with Grant Hill? No. There's a reason why, because he was never healthy in clutch moments.
I mean, this is the NFL, though.
It's the same comparison, though. Cam Newton gets in. If Cam Newton's injury prone the rest of his career, he won't win anything because he can't stay healthy. That's just how it works.
I think we have a better chance of winning with Cam than Stidham.
I would agree with you
obviously.
At this point.
Yeah,
obviously,
saying, bro, but like,
who are you arguing with?
I would risk it. I would risk it even now. Like, I think we should extend him. If we do extend him, it should be.
Do you know Robert Kraft, though? Do you know Jonathan Kraft? How stingy they are with their money every single year? How much salary cap we have left over every single year? They're not going to pay out for an injury-prone quarterback unless they see direct results in a 16-game or possibly 19-game schedule where Cam Newton can stay healthy. If he proves through 19 games, that's the best-case scenario, that he can stay healthy and he can win, they'll extend him. But if not, see you later.
I just want to see Stidham on the field, dude. Stidham does nothing. Like, he doesn't, like, people care so much about, because this is what me and Brandon keep saying. I hate that Brandon's not on the show as much anymore because I need someone else on my side. Me and Brandon were the biggest, like, out of these four people here, we're saying Newton, because people care about the Patriots game. Do you think anybody really would have, like, cared about a Seahawks-Patriots game with Jared Stidham at the quarterback? No. Even if he's injury prone, I still think you roll the dice on the guy. He's the most talented. He's still one of the most talented quarterbacks in the league.
We already did roll the dice. That's why we signed into a 1-year deal. That's rolling the dice. That's seeing what you have.
I want to extend
I think that Cam Newton, so Joe, this is a question for you. When do the Patriots pull a trigger on adding a piece to that team? Because both offensively or defensively. Because in that game, Edelman's getting banged up. That Edelman at 34 years old cannot talk about injury prone. He's injury prone as well too. He's somebody that can easily take a hit. Do you see that the Patriots, when do you pull a trigger on possibly getting a wide receiver, another offensive weapon, or on the flip side defense? Because some of those linebackers look very, very lost out there.
Sunday night at 11:30 when the game ended, this team proved to me that they're worth investing in. They should be pulling the trigger as soon as humanly possible to get Cam Newton a downfield weapon. Edelman, in that game was actually a very good downfield weapon, but that's not his play style. And he will get hurt going down the field against Jamal Adams 9 out of 10 times. We lucked out this time, but we won't luck out the next time. When he goes down to Tyrann Mathieu in Kansas City, when he faces not even Earl Thomas on the Ravens anymore. But what I'm trying to say is you need a downfield weapon like an Odell Beckham Jr., like an Allen Robinson, someone who can get down the field, who can stretch the field for you so N'Keal Harry can go underneath with Edelman.
So I'm backing off the Odell thing now because now it comes into we want to invest in Cam Newton, but we don't want to invest in a guy like Odell Beckham and have his contract because Ken Stidham or the future quarterback end up, having that same chemistry because now you have Odell on for a couple years. And Cam Newton could easily just say, "See you later, guys. I'm out of here. I used you guys."
At the same time, though, it's a great trade chip to have. Look at like Brandon Cooks, right? He went around the league for first and second round picks in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
People overpay for Odell Beckham Jr. no matter how he slices and dices. So I think it's worth the gamble in that sense. But what I think you brought up an interesting point last week on your Instagram, not during the show, Julio Jones, and we talked about that on Stafford and Matthews this last episode. And we talked about how, first of all, Cam Newton's familiar with Julio Jones' game. They played in the same division for 10-plus years, right? And we look at it that way. And Julio Jones is a carbon copy of N'Keal Harry. They're the same type of player. Obviously, N'Keal Harry needs a hell of a lot more work to get anywhere near Julio Jones' level, talent-wise. But if you have a guy like him mentoring N'Keal Harry, who shows him how to play, you use his body the correct way, that not only opens up situations for Julio Jones, it opens up the door for N'Keal Harry to really thrive in this offense and become a dominant weapon that we drafted him to be. So when I look at it that way, Julio Jones is probably the best option for the Patriots to add, especially considering Calvin Ridley's progression this upcoming season. 2 touchdowns and 150 yards the last game. Calvin Ridley, and I said this in the last episode as well, is now the Falcons' #1 offensive weapon because Julio Jones either getting double teamed or he's not playing. The Falcons are 0-2. If they go 0-3, they're going to trade Julio Jones because they're going to have to blow it up at some point. Matt Ryan's, 34 years old? He's not getting any better. The defense is still horrendous. Dan Quinn's probably out the door if they have a bad season this year. So what's to stop them from actually getting some trade pieces, some first-round draft picks, some extra draft capital? I'd pull the trigger on Julio Jones right now.
Some Atlanta fans were hitting me up and saying that there's absolutely no way that they'll ever trade Julio and that he's beloved down in Atlanta and that, what's the owner's name? Arthur Blank, will never want to get rid of him. They want Julio there. But, I mean, that guy is worth – if the price comes up and there it is, it's like that team does – after that loss, they deserve to be blown up, that team. That whole team. Matt Ryan, see you later. Julio Jones, see you later. Just start over again. They should tank.
It's tough to be a Falcons
They should
fan.
tank for Trevor Lawrence. They should just go in tank mode. They just trade everything.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, that Falcons team outside Calvin Ridley is really looking sorry on both sides of the football. I mean, their secondary is probably the worst in the NFL outside the Dallas Cowboys, which is ironic because that game actually ended up going back and forth between Dak Prescott on the ground, 3 scores on the ground for Dak Prescott. But the Falcons need to blow it up, and I'm with you. I think Julio Jones will be traded. I don't really care about Arthur Blank. I care about the GM there, and I think to myself, this team is going nowhere in the next 3-4 years. What's to stop you from blowing up and starting over and starting fresh?
Last one. How about A.J. Green? Because A.J. Green is, I think, a franchise, and he's on that 1-year deal. How about if Joe Burrow and company go 0-3, 0-4, then you start realizing, hey, A.J. Green's going to be out of here. Let's just get at least some sort of piece for him. And maybe by the Patriots bye week in week 5 or 6, you end up picking him up.
So on AJ Green's account, I don't really see it happening, and I don't see it happening because Joe Burrow has shown me so much through 2 games. Even though he's 0-2, he probably should have won both games. He was in there at the very end of the game and actually really won his first game, but obviously got called back because of a pass interference on AJ Green. But the Bengals understand that Joe Burrow needs as much stability as possible to build his rapport in that Bengals offense. AJ Green is the stabilizer in that entire offense, leadership-wise, playing-wise, everything. And so when you have A.J. Green on that team, Joe Burrow needs a guy like him to kind of help him through his first year. Maybe next year if he's still an option, I could see it. But as of right now, the Bengals are not going to trade away Joe Burrow's best receiving option, even though Tyler Boyd's kind of breaking out this year. What I will say is, going back to last week's episode, Allen Robinson's a legit option. The Chicago Bears are 2-0, but they're probably the biggest fraud in the NFL right now at 2-0. They should not be 2-0. The Lions won that game last week, or in week 1, I mean. They drop a touchdown pass, for DeAndre Swift in the end zone. Then they have the Giants game where they luck out with Saquon Barkley tearing his ACL. And even still, Daniel Jones almost actually won the game at the very end. It was 17-13 final score. This is a fraud team. I see them going on like a 4 or 5 game losing streak. And if that ends up happening, Allen Robinson will get, restless. He'll get annoyed he doesn't have a contract extension yet. That's when Bill Belichick calls and gets a value deal.
All right, let's get a week 3 picks. Last week, Brandon went 9-6. Joe went 12-3. Paz went 9-6. I went 11-4. The overall records are Joe in first, 19-11. Me in first, 19-11. Babs in second, 18-12. And Brandon, 16-14. Brandon's not on the show again today, so we will send it his way for his picks right here.
All right, thank you, Tyler. Picks this week, week 3 for the first game, 49ers Giants. I just got to go with the Giants and Daniel Jones because of the 49ers and all their injuries from last week, from Black Sunday. I just don't think the Niners will be able to overcome all those injuries to their star players. Washington football team and the Browns. I think the Browns take this one over a really bad football team, literally a bad football team. Bengals, Eagles, going with the Bengals and Joe Burrow to get his first win in the NFL over a Eagles team that is really trying to find its way still. Raiders, Patriots, got to go hometown favorites. Patriots take one over the Raiders. I think it's going to be a lot closer considering everything we've seen from the Raiders thus far. Moving on to Bears, Falcons. Falcons finally secure a win after being up big against the Bears. I think the Bears do find a way to come back, but I think the Falcons actually close this game out. Rams, Bills. Bills got to win this one. I think this is going to be one of probably the best day games of this week 3 slate. I think this really could go either way. I'm just going with the home team, the Bills here, even though they won't have that advantage, but the Rams will be traveling out to the East Coast. Got to go with the Bills there. Texans and the Steelers. I'm going to go with the Texans here. I picked them a few times, and they've let me down, but I think they finally pick up their first win against a really, really good Steelers team to kind of get their footing on the season. Titans, Vikings, got to go with the Titans and Ryan Tannehill. What they're doing there is pretty fun. Coming off an AFC Championship appearance, I think they're right back on schedule to make another good postseason run against a Vikings team that really is not what it's supposed to be with Kirk Cousins. Panthers, Chargers, gotta go Panthers. I think the Chargers are the favorites here. I think the guys all chose Chargers. I'm going with the Panthers. And Teddy Bridgewater to pick up the W in Los Angeles now. Let's see. Jets, Colts, gotta go Colts. The Jets are, God, there's nothing else you can say about how bad the Jets are. Cowboys, Seahawks, rolling with the Seahawks. They got an MVP candidate in Russell Wilson. I think he keeps carrying that team all the way to the postseason and eventually the Super Bowl. Lions, Cardinals, and Kyler Murray. That duo of not Deshaun. What is it? His name? DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler Murray is turning into a deadly duo. I think they keep it up against the Lions team that might be looking to get Trevor Lawrence in the near future. Who knows? Moving on to Bucks, Broncos. I'm tempted to go Broncos, but they've let me down all year so far when I choose them. But I'm going to go with Bucks here. Tom Brady does struggle in Denver. We're going to see what happens. I do think the Bucks pick up a tight W because I do think Brady has a struggle day again, especially because he's in Denver. He's never particularly thrived in that Mile High City. Sunday Night Football, Packers, Saints, which is really, I thought might be a coin flip, but I think everyone's going Packers. I am too. Chiefs, Ravens on Monday night. Going with the Chiefs here. Tyler picked the Ravens. I don't know why. Chiefs got to win this game. Prime time. Chiefs just keep it rolling. All right, those are my picks.
All right, let's get into ours. Week 1, 49ers at Giants. The Giants are terrible. They lost their best player. And the 49ers, I don't even know if the 49ers are great this year, but I think it's an obvious pick to be 49ers.
Is it an obvious pick, though? Because Jimmy Garoppolo went down. Raheem Mostert went down. Nick
Giants,
Bosa went down. Solomon Thomas went down. They all went down. All their star players went down. And while I actually believe in Nick Mullins, I'm taking the 49ers because of Nick Mullins. I believe in him as a backup quarterback. Yeah. This team's banged up, and I cannot wait to play them injured with the Patriots schedule in week 5 or 6.
I look at the New York Giants in this game. I'll take them only because of the injuries piling up for San Fran right now. This is the game where Daniel Jones can finally get a victory in the 2020 season. The first 2 weeks against Pittsburgh, and then even you said last week against Chicago, they put themselves in positions to almost win those games, or they should have at least held a lead against Pittsburgh. This is the game that you take advantage of. And yes, that Barkley, that hurts big time for the Giants. But who do they just sign? Devontae Freeman. That guy is probably going to get most of the reps. That guy's got a little chip on his shoulder this week. No one wanted me. I got to go out there and prove it. And now that there's a banged-up defense as well, too, no Nick Bosa, I think the Giants barely escaped this game. I'll take them this week.
I actually hope you're right because I'm a big Daniel Jones guy, and he's been robbed the past couple weeks with some of these victories. So
just a reminder, there's a lot of 0-2 games, and we're going to bring it up. Like, this is the must-win week for most of these teams that are 0-2.
Look at the Minnesota Vikings. Actually, one more before we get into the picks.
We'll go into the Vikings and Titans.
How about Adam as a trade option? How about Kirk Cousins shitting the bed so badly they go 0-3? I'm just saying.
Redskins, the football team versus Browns. Going with Baker. I think they look good on Thursday. Granted, it was against the Bengals, but you still have to be a good football team to win a good game. And I think they're looking better than people gave them credit after the Ravens game, which is obvious because it's the Ravens. I'm picking the Browns over the football team. That is.
I'm going with the Browns too because the Washington football team is a bottom 3 team in the NFL, bar none. Dwayne Haskins has shown me quite literally nothing. That offense is looking a little bit better. They have actually a solid run game going on right now. Terry McLaurin's actually looking pretty good as well. But defensively, they're an absolute nightmare. I'm going with the Cleveland Browns.
I'm going to go with the Washington football team here. You say they're a bottom 3 team. They're technically leading the NFC East right now. They're first place. Just saying. I think that this is the game is, again, Ron Rivera coaching. It's going to come down to coaching. And someone like Chase Young to contain the run. Contain Hunt, contain Chubb. Let Baker throw and let Baker make the mistakes out there.
They'll just run to the other side.
I know, but I'm just saying I'm picking the Washington football team for a little upset. If there's one team that's going to lose and they're favored by 7 points, it's the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
If you're a betting person, you take +7 Washington, but I'm going to go with Washington football team because I do just want to see Ron Rivera get a lot more credit as a head coach to take a scrappy young team like this Washington football team that shouldn't even be anywhere. And the fact that they go 2-1 and there's going to be teams that are 0-3, and it should be vice versa.
I said this in the chat a couple days ago. The Raiders last year are the equivalent of the Washington football team this year for you, Babs. You took the Raiders every game last year, doing the same thing with Washington.
And look where the Raiders are now. They're 2-0. They're looking good.
Maybe it's the Babs curse.
Speaking of teams that are kind of already in a must-win situation, we have Bengals, Eagles. I think Joe Burrow gets his first win. I've seen both Eagles games because I live with a bunch of Eagles fans. Let me tell you, they're not good. They're bad at football. I picked them both weeks because I'm already watching the game. I don't want to root for the Eagles. And I was whatever, I'm just going to pick them. But the Eagles stink out loud. They're not a good football team. The whole fly, Eagles, fly, his die, Eagles, died. That was the stupidest thing I've ever said in my life. But the Bengals, Joe Burrow, he's been playing good. He has no help around him. His defense is supposed to be a decent defensive line. His offensive line stinks out loud. I'm picking Bengals, though. I just don't believe in Philly.
I'm going with Cincinnati as well just because of how poorly the Eagles defense has shown now lately. The secondary's ruined. They cut bait with a lot of guys because their salary cap is in the shitter because of Carson Wentz's contract. Offensively, Miles Sanders comes back last week, has a good game, but it wasn't enough. Their offensive line is probably the worst in football right now, and it's showing. Carson Wentz was sacked 8 times week 1. I think he was sacked a couple more times last week. I'm going with the Bengals here. Joe Burrow gets his first win.
The best decision the Philadelphia Eagles made was to say we are not allowing any fans for the entire season. Because the fact is, when the Cincinnati Bengals come into town and kick your ass, you're going to be so fortunate you don't have those fans booing. And they actually have fans, the virtual fans, booing Carson Wentz on the field coming out, which made it funny. If they had Philadelphia fans there, it would be a travesty, like a hellhole. They'd be throwing batteries on the field. They'd be going nuts. Cincinnati Bengals is the upset of the week. They'll take that. Joe Burrow finally getting his first W. I'll go Cincinnati every week until they fucking win.
I don't even see this as an upset. I don't even think it's an upset, really. The Eagles stink.
Yeah, they're both 0-2.
Philadelphia's favored 4.5 points. So
I'd hammer that. I would hammer that right now.
Raiders, Pats. Raiders, like you said, we just kind of mentioned them earlier. I think the Patriots win, but I don't think it's gonna be easy. What's this? Do you have the spread on that in front of you?
It's 5.5. I think it went up to 6.5
for the Pats.
Yeah,
I think it'll be like a 4 to 3 point game or something like that. Yeah. I think it's gonna be close. I think it's either gonna be Cam Newton gets like a game winning drive, or the defense gets a big stop at the end. Like I don't think it's gonna be a comfortable win, but I am picking Patriots. I think the Raiders should get a little more credit. Gruden, his second year there. Carr is even still doing well. Josh Jacobs is emerging as one of the elite backs. I believe in him, but I'm picking the Pats.
The Las Vegas Raiders are still the Raiders. While I love what they did with John Gruden and Chucky and then Derek Carr, they've looked very good through 2 weeks, and there's a reason why. It's because of good coaching. Henry Ruggs adds another dynamic to their offense, stretching the field as a speedster. Dalen Waller's looked unbelievable, and like you said, Josh Jacobs is a phenomenal running back. But as I said when I started here, this is the Raiders. They always find ways to blow important games. This is a very important game in the AFC. I'm going with Cam Newton, the Patriots. He's probably pissed that he lost that Seattle game. It was all on his shoulders because if he bounced it outside in that play, he scores a touchdown and wins the game for the New England Patriots. I'm going with Cam Newton in a rut.
He was a yard away from becoming every single New England player's favorite football player. Like New England fans' favorite football. He was 1 yard away. But like,
he should have bounced it outside. That's how it works.
I mean, we can all play Monday morning quarterback. The Seattle just blitzed us crazy. Good tackle. Nothing else you can do about it. Chalk it up on to week 3.
This game upcoming against the Raiders needs to be all about defense. The defense needs to step it up. And I'm a little bit worried about that. I am worried about that. I think the Raiders are going to carve out the Patriots, and it is going to be laying all on Cam Newton's shoulders yet again to try to win the game. And I do think it's going to be that 3-point victory. I'll only say the Patriots win this game. I think if this was out in Las Vegas, I wouldn't pick the Patriots right now. I just feel like this Raiders team offensively will carve up the New England Patriots.
They're without Trent Brown. Let's remember, he's injured.
Still making plays. Doesn't matter. They're still out there. They're still making plays. They're still getting down the field. They're still running the ball. I just don't feel comfortable.
This is a big game for Chase Winovich. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah, and Juwan Bentley.
Performance.
Juwan Bentley, you look so lost last game. Like that showed last game showed why they needed Hightower. Like Hightower needed to be out there. Just keeping everybody together. I'm picking the Patriots, of course, but it's a close one.
Top what quarterback is Derek Carr? Top 10, top 15, top. Like, what tier is he in for quarterback?
Do you say top 10?
No, but I'm saying, as an example, where
was
would
1
you
year.
rank Derek Carr? He's
1 year.
He was crazy good. He had an off year. Where would you put him now compared to all the quarterbacks in the league?
I'd say like
top 15.
Yeah,
I'd say like 18 to 20 around there.
He's 2-0.
Josh Jacobs is 2-0.
John Gruden's 2-0.
I was gonna say everybody's 2-0 on the Raiders. Bears, Falcons. Oh my God, I don't even know. This is like another fraud team and another fraud team. All right, this is what's going to happen. Bears are going to win in the fourth quarter, and the Falcons are going to be up the whole time because we've seen this song and dance a billion times, and the Bears are going to steal it at the end. The Falcons are bad. The Falcons, like, Tom Brady is the Falcons' father. Ever since 28-3, what have they done? What has any Atlanta sport done? Nothing. Anything at all. I'm picking Bears.
I'm going with the Falcons here because, like I said earlier, the Chicago Bears are the biggest fraud in football right now. At 2-0, Mitch Trubisky sucks at football. I hate the fact that people are saying, oh my God, Tyler, you drive me crazy with the casual fan nonsense. The Chicago Bears are not a good football team. The Atlanta Falcons are a okay football team. They're going to edge it out. Matt Ryan's probably still heated about that game in Dallas. Matt Ryan brings back the 2016 Magic and actually ruts the Chicago Bears.
Taking the Atlanta Falcons on this game. I went on them heavy last week in the Babs parlays, and you should have saw me watching that game. Between that and the Patriots end, but just seeing that, it's devastating. Your franchise is on the line in this game. You're at home. There's no fans, but your franchise is on the line in this game against the Bears.
Did we talk about the onside kick yet? How nobody did any phenomenal kick. I'll give the who's the kicker for the I don't even care. But whoever kicked it, unreal. It was like spinning like a helicopter and is like those like hypnosis things when you stare into it and you get like mesmerized. It was like that for football, except like 5 Falcons are just looking at the ball. And then they blow it. Like, that is just the most Atlanta thing I've ever seen. Rams, Bills. This is actually, I think, is going to be a sneaky good game. I can't tell if the Bills are good yet. Like, they won big week 1. They barely beat the Dolphins week 2. Rams, on the other hand, like, they just look pretty good this year again. Sean McVay, still a good coach. For the sake of AFC East, I'm picking the Rams. But this is like another coin flip game for me. But I'm going Rams.
I'm going with the Bills just because I don't think the Rams secondary outside of Jalen Ramsey will be able to keep up with the depth in Buffalo. Stephon Diggs obviously having a career year with Josh Allen throwing the deep ball there. Cole Beasley, even John Smokey Brown. They have a lot of weapons downfield in Buffalo, and I just don't think they have the depth in a secondary for the Rams to keep up with it.
Great test for Buffalo week 3 to show if they're a legitimate contender in the AFC East. And I will pick Buffalo in this game. Buffalo deserves it. It's a toss-up, and this is a game I'm not even going to gamble on. It could really go either way. I think the Rams are somewhat okay. Buffalo has been somewhat okay as well, too. But I'll pick Buffalo Bills in this game.
Texans, Steelers. See, like, the Texans are another team that's hard to judge right away because they face, the Ravens and then the Chiefs. And then the Steelers, who are also a good team. I think the Steelers just keep rolling, and I think the Texans just keep falling. Like, in the fact that, like, Texans already dropping 2s, like, here comes a 3rd because we're already playing bad, quote-unquote, even though we're facing elite teams in the league. And the Steelers, I don't think Ben is their quarterback the rest of the year. I think he's eventually going to get hurt. Like, I don't think he's played 16 games. If he
Is it because he's injury prone?
It's because he just released a 5-part documentary called something about Ben, I don't know, bigger than Ben or whatever it is. He just
Tom versus time?
Yeah, but Tom Brady won a Super Bowl. Like, didn't
And
he win the Super Bowl the next
Roethlisberger
year?
won 2.
Yeah, Roethlisberger also had a lot of off-the-field stuff. I don't believe in Ben. I think he's hurt. Like, I think he's just going to be hurt. He's going to come out in a walking boot. He's going to be like, oh, my arms are – he left game 1 of week 1. He said, oh, I felt like my body just went through like a 12-car pileup. I'm like, no, you don't. And if you do, why are you still playing? But I'm picking Steelers. I just don't think Ben plays 16 games.
I'm going with Pittsburgh as well, and I really hate to pick against Houston here because I'm a huge believer in what Deshaun Watson's doing down there with Randall Cobb, Brandon Cooks, and David Johnson, kind of like a recovery group there, hoping to kind of get a last-ditch effort out of all their careers there. I'm going with Pittsburgh because the defense is going to stifle Deshaun Watson. The weapons aren't in sync yet. They need a couple more weeks to get in sync with each other. I'm going with Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh is the smartest choice, but I'm going to go with Houston just because I think Bill O'Brien's job's on the line in this game. Because you just traded away DeAndre Hopkins, and you probably should have needed him this year. You go 0-3. There's 0 chance that team's winning the division, and I just think that Bill O'Brien will be completely on the hot seat. Yes, you played 3 great teams in a row, but would be the death knell for Bill O'Brien. And I think Pittsburgh barely escaped a win last week against Denver, and they're at home. Pittsburgh's a smart choice, but Bab's going to go the opposite way and go Houston.
Titans, Vikings. I don't think the Vikings are good. I think week 1 I had them. Maybe they can win the NFC North. I don't know what I'm talking about. Nobody does. But I think the Titans are good. And I like Tannehill's having a good start to a year. Like Tannehill was like a meme. He was kind of a clown in Miami. He was never great. Everyone's saying, "Oh, it's a Tannehill leap year. It's the time he makes his jump." This is actually the year. Like, if you want to include last year too, yeah. Like, but then again, it was him or Mariota. Which one are you picking with? Tannehill's their guy. Derrick Henry's still Derrick Henry. Corey Davis is stepping up this year. A.J. Brown, is he still hurt? I know he was questionable earlier. I'm not sure if he ever.
The biggest guy for them has been Jonnu Smith, who's really broken out at tight end.
Yeah. See, even then, like, they have every weapon. They have good receivers. They have one of the best tight ends, probably the best tight end in that division. And then they got a good running back. Definitely the best running back in that division too. So I'm picking Titans, and I don't think the Vikings are good. And I hate Kirk Cousins with all of my heart. And
Thank you. I hate Kirk Cousins. I think he's the biggest fraud in the NFL.
I hate
what was it? $30 million, Jesus, guaranteed over 3 years. Are you fucking kidding me?
Just to buy so much tinfoil, you could wrap your steak in it to grill it on. Yeah, right. You can get all the tinfoil you can with that.
He is so bad at football. I'm going against the Minnesota. I'm not even going for the Tennessee Titans. I'm going against the Minnesota Vikings. I do not believe in this football team whatsoever. And it's a shame that Adam Thielen and Dalvin Cook are wasting away on this offense because Kirk Cousins is incompetent.
Again, another 0-2 team with a must-win on their back, a team that won a playoff game last year, the Minnesota Vikings. I'm picking the Vikings to have the bounce back this week. Again, I don't think Kirk Cousins has been terrible this year so far in the first 2 games, and I still think they have the pieces to do it. They shouldn't have gotten rid of Diggs. They should have tried to keep him there, but I think this team has enough to pull out a victory against the Titans. I think the Titans are a fraudulent 2-0 team. That first game was pretty iffy against Denver. Who they just played last week? Jacksonville. They gave up 300 and something yards to Gardner Minshew. Kirk Cousins should be airing out the ball all over Tennessee this week. So,
last game he threw for 113 yards, no touchdowns, and 3 picks. He had a 15 quarterback rating.
Who was that?
15. Kirk Cousins. 15 quarterback rating.
I mean, dude, the sun got in his eyes. Didn't you see that? they were playing in the fucking what's it called in Indianapolis, Lucas Oil, like the
Yeah.
sun, like going against the
Roof was
sun.
open.
Hard to see.
Roof was open. All right. Speaking of, actually, no. Panthers, Chargers. Is Justin Herbert the quarterback? Like, Tyrod Taylor's out for a while, right?
Yeah,
Yes, there's actually an
Because of his
NFLPA
doctor?
investigation
Yeah, you
into
could sue him
Tyrod Taylor's.
for a ton of money. He could double his
Yeah.
contract in a court case.
Yeah,
But
it's not
the
good right
doctor
now.
would
There's
be
an
paying
investigation
him
into the
insurance.
doctor because they think they did it on purpose. They think the trainer did it on purpose to test Justin Herbert for the Chargers, which is insane if it's actually true.
That's an NFL conspiracy.
Yeah, seriously.
See, like, Panthers lose McCaffrey. I think it's just obvious to go Chargers.
I'm going Chargers too. I think, regardless of Tyrod Taylor or Justin Herbert, I think they're a better football team right now. Teddy Bridgewater hasn't played good in his comeback yet. He dropped 30 points in his first game back, but it was really not him. It was more Christian McCaffrey as most of the time goes there. But I'm going with the Chargers here. I think Tyrod Taylor, while it's a very weird situation, might actually benefit from this. Justin Herbert actually gets a W in his first debut.
Yeah, he didn't look too bad against Kansas City last week. And
Nope.
just shout out, when we went to the combine, he looked like one of the best quarterbacks there.
Yes,
That
he was.
was there. He was. So I'll go Justin Herbert, and I think he gets his first W. SoFi Stadium.
Actually, Babs, our combine report's looking really good right now. For all the rookies, it's looking really, really, really good.
That's your reports.
Well,
You don't have to
yeah,
give me any credit.
Jets, Colts. I'm saying this now. The Jets are not winning a single game this year. The New York Jets are horrendous. They are not even like they're not even like bad that I can make fun of them bad. They're just like, wow, this is just naughty football team. Like a high school team could beat them. Obviously not, but you know what I'm saying. And the Colts, like, yeah, they still have a lot to prove. It's only week 3. I think this is just gonna be a win because you got like the AFC North is gonna be close. No, they're in the South. My bad. Even then, they have what? Texans. They got Titans. Yeah, I think they compete with the Titans all year. They're just going to try to play catch up. I have the Colts going against the Jets.
I'm going with the Colts as well. Philip Rivers has really shown me absolutely nothing this year. He's actually played a very, very bad, actually to really average year for the Colts. But the one thing I do believe in this team is Jonathan Taylor. I said it during the combine. He'll be the top running back in his class, and he's proven to be right now. Had a 100-yard game in his first start last week. Going forward now, the New York Jets will be the worst team in football. And I don't have a problem saying that. I was a big Sam Darnold defender for the past couple of years. Give him some weapons, give him some time. I'm officially hopping off that train. I think Trevor Lawrence might find himself in Gotham in gang green colors next year. I really hope it doesn't happen either because it's going to ruin his fucking career. I'm going with the Colts here. Also, if you didn't watch Stafford Matthews last week, me and Chris Matthews are now campaigning to be the new GM president combo of the New York Jets. We'll do a better job than any of their GMs or owners have done in the past 20 years, I guarantee you.
Do you think so? If Trevor Lawrence gets drafted number 1 overall, where does that put Sam Darnold? If I were the Jets right now,
Out of a
I'd just try
job.
to get him. Yeah, I would just try to trade him now, like, and just
trade him.
totally tank. Do what the Jags are trying to do, but Gardner Minshew doesn't want to lose, so they're just gonna keep winning games of Minshew. Like, they're gonna win meaningless games that are gonna add up towards the draft as it gets closer. And then Trevor Lawrence, future New York Jet, and then he's gonna be. I feel bad for the kid.
Colts will win this game, but do they cover the spread minus 11? That's the question. Can they win by double
I can't believe
digits?
it's 11.
It's 11. That's high. It's high.
That's real high.
Do they cover? That's the question. Right
I think
there.
the Jets cover. If they don't, then they
Crazy. I don't want to touch it, but I saw that it's that high. That means they're guaranteed they're going to win that game.
Yeah.
But they were also 7.5 against the Jaguars and they lost. But
You never know. You picking Colts, Babs?
yeah.
Cowboys, Seahawks.
Don't be stupid, Tyler.
I want to say Cowboys so bad. Like, all of me wants to say Cowboys, but I
Then
feel
say
like
it.
this could be another year that the NFC East champions 9-7 or 8-8. So I'm gonna go Seahawks. And I just think, I don't know, when it goes down to quarterbacks, obviously Russell Wilson is significantly better than Dak. Zeke is better than whoever the Seahawks, Carson. And then it comes to who are your other weapons? You have Amari Cooper, you have hard-hitting Jason Witten, and then that's it. Like, Jason Witten's not even good. I just said that.
Jason Witten doesn't play for the Cowboys anymore.
Who does he play for?
The Raiders.
Raiders, that's what it was. I watched him play last week. I'm like, what? I knew he came back from Monday Night Football. But even then, I just want to say hard-hitting Jason Witten. But we have, like, the Seahawks defense is better. The Cowboys, they're not frauds, but they're not great, even though they're, like, Super Bowl contenders like they are every year. But I'm going to go Seahawks.
Dak Prescott, while he's had an interesting season so far, has failed to utilize CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, and Michael Gallup properly. He's running the ball instead of passing the ball. I'm going with the Seahawks because Russell Wilson is proving he's an MVP-type quarterback, and he will get MVP this year.
Yeah, Russell Wilson's got to keep pouring it on there. He's going to absolutely tear up the Dallas Cowboys, and you got to give coaching a little bit of credit, too. They're not going to blow the game like the Atlanta Falcons did. They're going to actually hold the lead, and they're going to destroy the Dallas Cowboys in this game. They will cover 5.5 points as well. Seahawks.
Lions, Cardinals. I don't think the Lions are good. And I think the Cardinals aren't that bad. So I'm picking the Cardinals, and that is Insights with Ty.
I'm going with the Cardinals, and Kyler Murray's officially launching his dark horse campaign for most valuable player. No controversy, no nothing. He's living up to the hype he was drafted for, number 1 overall just last year. Kyler Murray edges it out with the Cardinals.
The team's building a lot of chemistry. Picking the Cardinals as well, too. They're 6.5. They're 6.5 favorites, or 5.5. And I still think they cover. I think the Lions, I've been saying this. I said this past week, Marvin Jones Jr., possible trade candidate. He's got 1 year left on his deal. Matthew Stafford, dude, get rid of him maybe. Maybe trade him to another team that needs a quarterback, like maybe trade him to the Denver Broncos.
Shit on Uncle Matt.
But I'm not shitting on him. I'm just saying, like, maybe Matt Patricia, it's time to blow up the team and you tank, like with the Jets, and you try to get Trevor Lawrence.
No, it's time to fire Matt Patricia. That's what the time is.
Yeah, it is. It's almost you got played out the rest of the season. Maybe chalk it up because it was COVID, but his days are numbered in Detroit as a head coach.
Last 3 games, Bucks and Broncos. It's gonna go Bucks.
I'm also going with the Bucks here, but only because the are mounting for the Denver Broncos. Drew Lock, Courtland Sutton, and Phillip Lindsay are all out next week. It's not going to be an easy game for them. Buccaneers take it.
Talk about an easy W for Tom Brady. I'm just wondering if he still struggles in Denver. He always struggled in Denver, and that will show something. But I think that team is going to start catching. They got their first W last week against Carolina. They almost let him come back into that game. And then this whole thing just came out today about Bruce Arians was going to bench Tom Brady. I have no fucking idea what they're doing over there with, like, Bruce Arians using it as motivation probably for Brady. But I see that the Bucs are favored 6.5. I take it too. I mean, like Joe just said, there's so many injuries on Denver. This is a win. Easy W.
Sunday Night Football, Packers, Saints. Breeze versus Rodgers.
Michael Thomas is still out, Tyler.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think the Saints, like, Breeze is kind of like, if this means anything for my football insight, is that I'm benching Breeze for Ryan Tannehill, and I never thought I'd say that. So I'm picking Packers. I don't know. I just think they're better than the Saints. He does not know how to throw the ball to Emmanuel Sanders. Emmanuel Sanders isn't terrible.
Yeah, there's definitely there's an issue with chemistry right now, and the problem is that Mike Thomas is out of that offense. Emmanuel Sanders is no longer a number 1 receiver. He was a few years ago, but not anymore. Drew Brees loves those short routes just like Tom Brady does, and Michael Thomas is the best in the game on these out routes and slants. People clown him for it, but it's true, and he's the best at what he does. And when he's not in that offense, Alvin Kamara has to spread himself too thin. Latavius Murray has a bad game. Emmanuel Sanders can't catch the fucking football. Drew Brees is going to lose this game. Second game in a row lost. The Packers win.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Aaron Rodgers is another guy that's running for the MVP candidate this year, too. I mean, he's playing with the little chip on his shoulder, fire in his belly because of what happened in the offseason. What happened in the offseason there. I just think no Michael Thomas. Drew Brees didn't look that good. The Saints could be on their way down. And, I just think that Packers prove it. They're underdogs. Great value there if you want to bet for the Packers.
Monday Night Football, Chiefs
Great
versus
game.
Ravens. I'm going Ravens. I think the Ravens steal this one, and then it's all going to be all that talk. Be like, oh, maybe this is Lamar's year. Is Lamar better than Mahomes? Is the Chiefs worse than the Ravens? And then it comes football, like playoff time. The Chiefs go to the Super Bowl, and the Ravens lose first round, and all this hubbub. The Ravens are the Milwaukee Bucks of the NFL, and the fact that they're going to be good. They're going to be good the whole year. And then the playoffs is just going to choke it away. And then is Lamar even going to come back? I think it goes Ravens this week, but they're not the better team.
Love that comparison. And I agree with you there. I want to pick the Ravens now, but I picked the Chiefs during Stafford and Matthews during early recording. I have to go with the Chiefs there. But the Chiefs are so banged up. Frank Clark's out another week. Their star pass rusher. Both of their inside linebackers are out. The middle of this defense is vulnerable. And what does Lamar Jackson do? Carve up the middle of defense. It's going to be an ugly game, I think, but it's going to be a competitive game. I'm going with the Chiefs still. because I have to.
It's a toss-up. I mean, it's going to be great because Pat Mahomes isn't going to lie down. Pat Mahomes is going to go out there and try to keep that team in it the entire time. I am going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs because I think it will be a good upset. I think after last week, especially barely beating the Chargers, they don't want to get smoked by the Ravens here. I'm just going to say Chiefs. I want to go against you, Tyler, because I hate you. So, and I want to try to get that one up in the I got to get back into first place somehow. So.
That's why you wanted to go last. You want to see what we were picking.
I was thinking nose for Stafford's because I'm going to go. Stafford went 12-3 last week. I'm going to go right down the casino. And
I'll keep going first. I'll carve my own path. Anyways, any final thoughts, Babs? I know you got to get out of here.
Final thoughts is Sophia's 2-0 in her locks of the day. She said Heat money line. She said Nuggets money line. And no, it just still feels weird. It's football season. Doesn't really feel like it. Nothing else to say. Merchandise. First line of merchandise finally got out there. If you want to buy, we're still having some difficulties with COVID and figuring things out, but people have been very happy so far on what they've gotten. And we'll be rocking our gear pretty soon too on the show. So we're happy, and that's it. That's all I got to say.
Joe.
Kirk Cousins is not good at football.
Yeah.
That's it.
My final thought, I actually have two. One of them is going to be obviously like the merchandise is coming out, so please check our merch. I know I'm going to be promoting mine whenever I get it up. I know that it's a time process thing, but I'm gonna I put a lot of effort into these merch designs. I have a lot of them stay in the archives right now. I don't know. I think people will like specifically just like my line. I think I have some heat coming that people aren't expecting, but. My second thought is I finally made a TikTok account. But it's not me in the videos. If you want to check it out, Takes by Ty. Unbelievable. I'm just drawing stuff because I need to learn how to draw better for t-shirt design. So I'm just like, why not just practice drawing stupid things and post them on TikTok because people get like recognition off that. And then that becomes us promoting BB3 on there, and that becomes me promoting the t-shirt design behind the scenes. My brain is not that smart, but it's always working. Like I go to bed and my whole pillow wakes up steaming because it's going that hard. Other than that, those are my final thoughts. Penn State football is a month away from today. And yeah, Boston Big 3 episode 75. Gotcha.